Next up on the menu, we have Blackboy Max versus Faze Banks, and it's an absolute shit show. Now, I've covered this, another video on this, which went up a little bit before this, and this situation just keeps getting worse. I don't know what to say. Let's get it by the video. Talk to me.
Since Max wanted to go live and talk about standing on business, and I was right, and look who was right, and I left Faze first, and look at me, 100K viewers, high as off the clout, just proving everything that I said.
This Banks was calling Max in the car. They're like, yo, this Silky, though, he's lazy as da 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 da. Not even knowing Max is on speaker. Silky is right next to Max.
Apparently I'm this awful, terrible guy, monster, who Max had all these issues with.
Max and Banks got in an argument. He calls other Faze members and says, this.
Now, I thought I was gonna have a brief moment of rest in this entire Faze saga, but before I could really even shut my eyes and close my PJs in my robe to give myself a little bit of a break, Faze Banks came out and did his scorched earth attempt about Blackboy Max, seemingly exposing him as being some sort of liar, deceiver to his audience, trying to get the community to galvanize some sort of support around him. But I'm gonna be quite honest with you, everything I watched from those videos to those text messages just confirms everything that I've been saying for the past year about the Faze Collective. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. Us unemployed gotta stick together during.
Hey, I'm easy. I keep telling you. Former unemployed, buddy. Okay.
This holiday season. Now, back into the content. Now, I know eventually that one of these Faze guys will be the one to pop the top off of everything. When I got called out last year by Ron, Lacey, and Banks, and we had our whole Discord argument, I saw who was reacting, how they were reacting, and what they were saying. And there was one person who kind of just stayed silent, just kind of watched, just, that's tough, etc., but didn't join in on the dog pile for the most part. And that was my good buddy, Blackboy Max. Since that situation, he took his departure from the Faze Collective, saying that he had mental health issues, he was struggling to find himself, he was burnt out from his 365 challenge, and specifically, well, really unspecifically because he couldn't get into too many details, he didn't have ownership of anything. If you're new to the saga and you haven't tapped in just quite yet, Blackboy Max's cousin—
yeah, man, this shit is juicy, bro. This shit stretches deep, and if you're familiar with the whole Faze situation, TLDR, Banks fucked up Faze twice.
Fatboy Dip came to the internet exposing how the Faze Collective wanted to charge Blackboy Max an insane—
or whoever is in charge. I'm not claiming to know every little detail, everything. I'm not speaking with actual authority on it. I'm just calling it how I sees it.
amount of money for housing.
Gang, you see that little townhouse that Max was in? They tried to make that pay 20 bands a month. What the
20 bands a month.
Or give a percentage of myself. What the
What? Now later on in his own stream, Blackboy Max would all but verify the claims that his cousin made, and ultimately sprinkling on some more seasonings to the healthy stew that says that Faze Clan was ruined by Faze Banks. Now there's a deeper conversation about how the Faze Collective wanted to come back and recoup a whole bunch of money from them, which we'll get into it at a little bit of a later time. But ultimately just know that Faze Banks was called out by Blackboy Max. Now this situation would cause Faze Banks to do a retaliation. And in that retaliation, Faze Banks naturally would go on the defense, saying that, you know, about how the Faze Collective wanted to come back and recoup a whole bunch of money from them, which we'll get into it at a little bit of a later time. But ultimately just know that Faze Banks was called out by Blackboy Max. Now this situation would cause Faze Banks to do a retaliation. And in that retaliation, Faze Banks naturally would go on the defense, saying that, you know, these guys were fake and ungrateful.
I just watched some clips from this Blackboy Max stream where he's playing a laugh track over my tweet, and it's like, Max, I know we've had like our individual differences, and I know I haven't really seen eye to eye with a lot of the talent because truthfully and honestly, I find you guys all to be incredibly ungrateful. I find you guys all to have insane egos, and I think it's disgusting and makes me sick to my stomach that your guys' relationships with each other and with every other streamer.
Do you see how ironic that is coming from Faze Banks of all people?
And your community included is so incredibly fake. You guys are the best actors on planet Earth.
Now I go into detail in the live stream that I just did in the previous video, but ultimately that set off the chain reaction. That chain reaction would lead to a scorched earth moment where Blackboy Max's cousin Fatboy Dip came back to the internet and revealed even more secrets that would disprove any narratives about this collective organization being genuine, friends, etc., and that there wasn't any sort of nefarious deeds behind the actions that Faze Banks and whoever the ownership group was doing.
This nigga Banks was calling Max in the car, saying like, yo, bro, they were just talking. And they're like, yo, this nigga Silky, though, he's lazy as fuck, da 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 da. Yo, you would have thought we was in a skit talking crazy shit, not even knowing Max was on speaker. Silky is right next to Max, talking crazy shit about the nigga in Miami, saying this nigga's lazy, I don't know about this nigga. And when he comes back, yo, this is my brother, So I guess we all fake then, nigga.
Yeah, how are you gonna call someone fake? Oh my God.
Guys, I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to contain the excitement that I have. Last year on the live stream, Faze Banks said that all of this was genuine. All of this was real. And I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't genuinely or really real talk behind my friend's back or my bro's back. That just seems like somebody who is...
Okay, so when you're talking about your friend while he's not there, you can make little jokes, right? You can say, oh, that nigga, I can't understand what he did. What he did yesterday, we won the game and he fucking just got shit on, man. Oh my God, that was crazy. He cannot play that game. Lighthearted banter behind each other's back, or lighthearted banter while the person isn't there, it's fine. But when you're talking that real deal, greasy, slimy shit to another friend behind that friend's back, you're a dickhead. You are just a slime ball. That's literally what it is.
Fake, and who was a deceiver to me. He also made a claim that there weren't financial ties to these guys, which I guess on paper at the time were to be true. But at that moment, I know for a fact that Faze Banks and the Faze Collective, I'm talking about the ownership group, were ultimately going to want to seek financial gain from these guys. So it makes a lot of sense why Plaqueboy Max's cousin would talk about this Spotify deal that was secretly and under the table put in for Plaqueboy Max in order for, you know, the Faze Collective to benefit and Max not see any money behind it. A conversation about brand deals came up, and for those that don't know, this is where the management companies get a lot of their dollars and cents. That's where they take their 15, 20, 30, 40% of the cut. And when Plaqueboy Max had his room decorated, all of a sudden there was a big Spotify logo in the background. Now, naturally, because these are young kids, they think it looks cool and official, but I know that that's not cool and official like that. What happens is ultimately once these things get clipped up and repurposed and repackaged, that's an ad that goes across TikTok 40,000 times, not just by the creator themselves, but by all the clip pages, the meme pages, etc., etc. Just a perpetual ad that will always exist in your background. But somebody has to pay for that perpetual ad. And if somebody has to pay for that perpetual ad, that means somebody has to, you know, make bank off that perpetual ad. But Max wasn't making the bank. It seems that Faze Banks was making the bank.
Nigga, I'm like, gang, you're Plaqueboy Max. You can get that yourself. And if you want to split it, that's cool. What the fuck? So we end up taking it down. Little dude, we know they're selling his identity without letting him know.
Wow.
I can't lie. Morgan, Fatboy Dip, he a real ass nigga. From what I've seen from him, ever since I've been watching Plaqueboy Max and the Faze, because I've been a fan of Faze ever since, even before the rebrand and the reboot and all of that. In my childhood, I was a fan of Faze, the old Faze, and now I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Faze in my late teens to adulthood, and it's just sad to see this shit happen again. It's sad, but going back to the topic, Morgan's a real ass nigga. As long as I've seen him with Max, he's never done Max dirty. And you want a family member like that. You want a cousin like that. W Morgan, bro. Fatboy Dip.
And so Max ends up leaving Faze. We only knew this because he left Faze. He got the deal on Spotify. They dropped Faze and gave it to Max. Guess how much this was for? 400 bands for 5 months, niggas. Niggas about to run up a half the ticket off a nigga. Half the ticket off a nigga. Chat, so this makes sense, imagine LeBron James and the Lakers working together, and the Lakers take all the money from a commercial with Beats.
Now pay close attention, because this is where it really gets interesting. That sponsor game and ad game is where like a lot of dollars and cents.
That's how they get you. They tried to put a fast one on. They tried to put a fast one on there on Maxi Boy. They tried to get him. Good thing he had his cousin there. Good thing his cousin reminded him, like, this shit is goofy, bro. Man, bro, this is good for Max.
Lies. And once these management companies start to come in, that's where they seem to reap their benefits and rewards. You'll notice that there's a shift in the types of sponsorships that these brands or entities or content creators can bring in. And that's due to the vested interest that, you know, these new management companies has. And that's not me just saying this. Fellow Faze member Faze Swag even talked about how the ads and sponsors just switched up. One day they were getting things like big contracts from Porsche, McDonald's, Xfinity. And the next thing they could only get was 4 logo deals. It didn't make sense.
The boys are at the height of everything. They're back-to-back orgs of the year. Fucking demons. Everybody in Faze averaging 10, 20K.
Damn,
Oh, you know, all the boys are averaging 10, 20K viewers. And then like the best sponsor we could grab was Four Loko. It was. I was sitting there thinking like something's weird. Like I feel like, especially with now, the best we can do is Four Loko. Bro, there's 7 people in Faze averaging 20K viewers. These motherfuckers, they should have been on a cover of cereal boxes.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting there like, wait, there's something's not making sense. Like, how the fuck, like 2 years ago, did we have Porsche and McDonald's?
Hell, even friend of the show TK exposed some messages between him and Faze, or ex-Faze, your rage, about the money situation and how fucked up it was. Chasing that money trail reveals all secrets.
Damn.
And that's where you get Faze's.
This shit is a fucking a spiral ball of just dog shit, man.
Majority owner Matt Kalish, co-founder of DraftKings and CEO of Hardscope, the production management company that's over Faze. He basically verifies the claims in a Bloomberg article about the unsustainability of the current Faze structure, but more importantly, the fact that he injected a bunch of money into them and then ultimately tried to recoup it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, he did give the option for them to go independent, but ultimately the deal that they were signing is the deal that Faze members are talking about being a 360 deal. Now, on one end, I get it. It's a business. You want to make some money. But on the other end, Faze Banks told me, Omar, Omeezy, a year ago, that this wasn't about the money. This wasn't about all this other stuff. This was just about friends coming together and making content. I call bullshit. It was bullshit back then, and it's bullshit now. And the reason why I took you down that little detour is because guess who also is a part of that Hardscope acquisition of Faze? That's right, Banks.
Banks was pushed out of Faze by the Faze members, right? And they wanted Kalish to run it. So now there's this thing called Hardscope that now owns Faze, which Banks has a part of. So you still part of Faze. What are you talking about? Niggas is liars, bro. You still are part of Faze because you own Hardscope, nigga.
So simple. So Banks. And in the last part of this live stream by Fatboy Dip was Faze Banks being accused of saying the N-word in reference to Plaqueboy Mac.
Oh my God. We just can't escape this shit, man. You think a chill white dude is cool, and then they just drop this shit on you, bro? Fuck. Like, and I've been hearing about this. Apparently, it's the ER. It's not the cool one. It's like just nigga. He's saying the bad one. Oh my God, bro, that can't be forgiven. I can forgive you for the A, the nigga, but the ER is indefensible. How am I supposed to forgive you? That's a hate. That you can't use that word without just using it for hate, bro. Oh my God, Banks. I just can't be a fan of your ass no more. Man, this fucking hurts, bro. Spinal. This fucking hurts.
He called up the other Faze members after he left and said, yo, this nigga is tripping, basically.
When Max left, he called him like, yo, bro, why you leaving? Why you leaving? He would give him all the reason. He's like, yo, bro, the last reason for real was you called me a nigga. You know what this response was like? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? What? And he's like, bro, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know you said that shit. He's like, bro, I was angry, but keep it a buck, bro. That's not the reason you left Faze. Keep it a buck. Don't put that on me, bro. You know I'm going through a lot, bro. You know I love you. You're going through a lot. I'm going through a lot. Don't put that on me, bro.
Now, in that short 17-minute live...
It came out of your mouth. I don't give a damn how angry you are. If you don't say slurs, slurs will not slip out when you're mad. It's that simple, right? Actual slurs, not retard. Retard is not a slur. I'm talking about the actual hateful ones that are targeted at groups of people specifically, that are used only in one way, right? There's no other connotation for NIGGER, emergency room. To do that because YouTube, you know. There's no connotation. There's no other connotation for that. You only use that for hate. Only. You didn't say the A version. You said the ER version. You only use that for hate. That's a hate-filled word. You can't forgive that because you meant that with malice. I wouldn't give too much of a fuck if you said the A version. Sure, I'd be like, whoa, you tripping. Did you forget what color you were, buddy? And if you want to apologize, yeah, don't care. You said the ER version, bro. You're cooked. That's indefensible. There's no reason you should be saying that. And any other slur, when you're mad, you don't just slurs don't just come out of your mouth if you don't say them. That's not how that works. If they're not in your vocabulary, you won't use them, even when you're angry. You just a dickhead, piece of shit.
There was a lot of damning evidence about the other ways that, you know, Faze Banks was a part of the snaking of the Faze members. And just to put the sprinkle on top, he also outlined the fact that Faze Banks called Max a racist slur. Just full stop. Coming from a black man. Calling a black man from a white man, the word nigga is a racist slur. Don't let nobody tell you any different. So between...
It is. It just is. It just is. Even if they say the A version, it still is a slur, yeah. It is. Coming from specifically a white guy, yes, it is. It is. There's how you take that is up to you, but it is a slur. It is. Me personally, the nigga is way worse than the nigger, because nigga, there's like so many fucking ways to use it. You know, there's so many other ways to use it. Like, oh, I was singing a song, man. It just slipped out because you guys say it all the time, right? That makes sense. No one is out here saying the ER version constantly unless they're fucking racist. That's just how it is. And you use that version. You're one of those. Can't deal with you.
All the internet drama, all the people dogpiling on him, making claims that, you know, you're a deceiver, you're a liar, you're all this, that, and the third. Faze Banks would have a lot to address when he came back to the internet. And you'll never guess what he decided to address and not address in all of it.
As it goes for this word.
If I had to guess, it's probably not the ER. If he does, that takes balls. I would love to see what he has to say about that.
Word that I said, first of all, I didn't say this targeted toward you.
What'd you say?
As it goes for this word that I said, first of all, I didn't say this targeted toward you. This wasn't said in any sort of racist connotation. I said this word in an emotional response, and I said, fuck all y'all blanks. And it's a fucking mistake, and I'm fucking retarded.
It's not racial, but nearly every member of New Faze is black. So how is it not racial? Am I stupid? Am I tripping? Is it crazy to say that? Your age, black. Silky, black. Max, black. There's other people in that car that was probably black. So you said, fuck all y'all ERs. How else are we supposed to take that? Banks? You're one of those, bro. Own it. Clearly, bro. You're one of those. You're not gonna get respect from anyone when you do the hip-hoppy shit. Obviously, we've influenced you a bit because of how you are and how you dress and stuff, how you act. But that doesn't give you the right to use that word at all. And you know that, which is why you don't use it all the time. But in that moment, you did because you were a little perturbed. Fuck out of here. Bogus as hell.
I'm a 34-year-old man-child, and I have many, many flaws. And I'm an idiot for saying that.
You are. You are. Full stop. You're more than just an idiot for saying that. But we'll leave it at idiot. No one's perfect. But there's a difference between being imperfect, calling a group of black people nigger.
You see, and this is why I hate y'all black asses on this internet. Y'all have white men justifying the fact that they didn't say a racist slur in a racist way. God, this shit pisses me off. Yeah, you guessed it. He didn't acknowledge the things about him taking money, him owning a part of Faze, these three...
He's like, whoa! Just like with the Adapt meme, which is relevant to this because Adapt is also in Faze, who also said the word, but it was like a while ago, back when he was still young and shit. And I'm pretty sure he apologized for that. It's used as a joke. Me personally, I can forgive the A, I can't forgive the ER. I can't. But it's like the Adapt meme. He was like, you beat your wife, whatever. And it was like, you faked the trick shot. He turned around like, whoa, I have never faked a trick shot. That's what he just did. You owned all the, you own Faze, bro. You slimed out all the Faze members. You tried to slime out Black Boy Max. You called Silky lazy shit. You called a group of black people inners. Whoa, I have never called a group of black people. You see, why are we sure you are addressing that? That's good. What about everything else, buddy?
60 deals. He didn't acknowledge any of that. Not any substantial way. He acknowledged.
And that's why, sure, it's good that it got called out. I think it should have gotten called out after everything else. That way he would have been forced to address everything else instead of that right now. Because that takes pertinence over everything else, because it's race. It's going to have a lot of pertinence. So, unfortunately, everything else is probably going to be overlooked. But we'll see.
The fact that, yo, him and Max have been talking, him saying the N-word actually wasn't really a problem, which is crazy to me. And the fact that Max is bringing up all this stuff right now is because he has some sort of ego and he's the Travis Scott of the group and he just wants to be popping and lit and blah, blah, blah. Oh, God, it's so hard.
Max was popping and lit before he even joined Faze. This is just Max. We all know Blackboy Max has always been that guy. And I'm not glazing here. If you look back at his content before he joined Faze, not too back where he was doing reaction videos, but even still, he still showed that energy, right? He's been an egoful nigga ever since before Faze. He's always had that pride to him. So this is, oh my God.
To take this man serious.
Because his cousin just went live and apparently I'm this fucking awful, terrible guy, monster who Max had all these issues with.
You are a monster. Calling a group of black people that word? You're a monster, buddy. Okay? And that in conjunction with everything else makes you also a dickhead. Okay? Actually, that in conjunction with itself makes you a monster. The racial thing makes you a dickhead. But this together makes you a monster. You get what I'm saying? Do you see how that math is mathing? Yeah. I'm disappointed in Banks. I used to fuck with Banks. I thought Banks was a cool ass dude ever since I was younger. This is one of the guys I used to think, well, back when I was stupid, oh, I want to be like him. Back when I was like 13 or some shit. Recent years, it's just like, oh, I fuck with him. He's cool. He's sick. Now it's just like, brother, what are you doing? Are you fucking dead ass? I said that shit when he laid off like all of the Faze members the first time. Hearing all this shit, there's no reason. There's no wonder why everybody fucking left. I'm glad they did.
But as you'll see, and when I share our conversation, that's not the energy that Max has given me over the last 5 months. As a matter of fact, and not to spoil anything, but I've talked to Max more in the last 5 months than every other Faze member combined. Max has asked me for opinions on everything from creative to content to...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he asked you and a myriad of other people. Don't feel special, okay?
His career. He's asked me personally for help managing his career from here on out. He's confided in me about his team sucking and things falling apart. And the big one, since Max wanted to go live and talk about standing on business and I was right and look who was right and I left Faze first and look at me, 100K viewers, high as fuck off the clout and the fucking engage, just proving everything that I said 100% right yesterday. This streamer brain shit is real. They are actors. And he jumped on this opportunity not because he cares about anything that I've done or cares about anything that I've said. It's because it makes the most sense.
I think it's because of both, buddy. Also, he was in the situation firsthand. How can he jump on and bandwagon on something that he had the most to do with? He started it. He's not bandwagoning. He's being dragged into it. Oh my God.
We'll go on a long monologue talking about how Blackboy Max constantly hit him up, was actually still friends with him, and didn't actually have these feelings that were, depicted in his cousin's stream. Now,
that's because Max is notorious for being a nigga that's way too nice. I'm sorry, Max, you are. If you saw the Tay situation, nigga was way too nice to Tay. Niggas was way too nice to the rappers that he brought that disrespected him. Max has always been the type of forgiving nigga that's like water under the bridge type shit. He's always been that guy. And it's not because of anything is protecting his image. He wants to keep his streamer face. He's just always been that way. I'm not claiming to know the nigga, obviously. I don't know Max personally. But from what I've seen, even before this Faze shit, he's always done that. I don't get it.
We'll decipher through some text messages here in a second, but I just want you guys to know that he never even addressed any of, you know, the claims about him owning this, him doing that, you know, being not genuine in this conversation, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. It's funny because when we had that live stream exchange, he was so gung-ho and proud to dispel any narrative about, you know, his knowledge about different things, people taking advantage of these guys, the genuineness of the relationship, but all of a sudden he is mum's the fucking word. It's amazing to me how quiet he is about the actual facts and stuff that probably matters more than, you know, Plaqueboy Max texting you and y'all's feelings and this, that, and the third. Did you take advantage of them, Banks? Yes or no? Go react. That's all we want to know. I do want to circle the block back here on this whole N-word saga, because instead of just plainly taking accountability, and I just mean leaving it at a full stop, yeah, I did say that shit and it was wrong, etc., etc. No, Banks doubles, triples, and quadruples down on the deflection game and says, you know, hey, I did say that, but you don't actually care about those things because you would have been brought it up. And in fact, your buddies say it too. And do you care about that?
If you really have a problem with that, then why has it not been a problem for the last 5 months? If you really have a problem with that, why have you told me multiple times I don't have a problem with that, we're good? If you really have a problem with that, and I can say this, Ron, last subathon, fucking said it. Muted his mic and said it. The chat laughed, and everybody told him to say it, and he said it. Lacey has admitted to saying it publicly. You know this. So why isn't that a problem?
I'm not a fan of Ron and Lacey, to be honest. I'm not surprised. Okay? And the reason why is because Max is a forgiving ass nigga. Most people are not. He is. He just happens to be that way. The reason why it's pertinent to you saying it is because this situation is about you. Okay?
Members in Faze have said it in the confines, behind the scenes, off cam, in the presence of other black creators and Faze members. And this was never a problem. It's only a problem now because it's convenient for you and for this narrative to make me look like shit and to make you look right.
Damn. That sounds like those cultural differences that I was talking about last year. I really do hate the fact that y'all have these white creators coming on the internet talking about how it's okay to say the N-word in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And these guys said it and those guys said it and everything's just comfortable saying. That shit really annoys me. Aiden's whack ass said some comments about it too. And I really can't get behind that shit. That shit is stupid. But nonetheless, Faze Banks would go on after the video
I'm not surprised that Aiden is defending this shit. I don't fucking like Aiden either. Who's surprised that Aiden is defending a motherfucker for saying the N-word? No one is.
What a lot of people would consider to be a cardinal sin, releasing text messages that would seemingly show that, you know, Max kind of regrets some of these situations, how, you know, he didn't actually care about the N-word, how they still rock with each other, etc., etc. Max would say, allegedly, like I said, the N-word and contract shit threw me off bad, bro, but I'm past that, and we talked about it, so I don't give a fuck. And I get your POV. I do find it weird when black people let white people say the N-word, but I do find it very choice that Banks addressed this in this fashion. And it's also interesting that he keeps saying like, yo, these creators keep playing this community game, trying to galvanize these people. But I can kind of see through this smoke screen dance. Obviously, there would be a bunch of black people, commentators, you know, onlookers, fans, etc., that would get upset finding out that white people are saying the N-word. They would also, though, get upset that there are black people who allow these things. So I believe that Banks is using this as some sort of ammunition to try to turn the guns towards a Plaqueboy Max. But I'm gonna be honest with you, gang, I'm not gonna get caught in that smoke screen dance. We can address that later. You spent all this energy exposing the DMs of a young man who was going through a mental health crisis, which we talked about earlier in this year in a separate video. You spent all that time exposing those text messages to a community of people to do their own interpretations in an attempt to prove that y'all were in good standing. And I do want this to serve as some sort of like PSA to Plaqueboy Max or any of the young streamers out there. Yo, these people are not your friends. So you confiding in them thinking that they are is only going to hit you back in the face. Because the way that this narrative is trying to be painted is the fact that you didn't give a fuck and you made a mistake and you did X, Y, and Z, all while misdirecting us and redirecting us to something totally different from the actual conversation at hand. Now, I do like to acknowledge that Plaqueboy Max did fire back at him. Plaqueboy Max says, I joined Faze at 20. I respected Banks. After I left Faze, Banks would call called me saying I needed him and my career was falling off. He took advantage of the fact that I was depressed and in the hospital. At one point, I let all the calls get to me and asked to join Faze again. But I kept going, and in November, I was introduced to a manager who helped me realize that a lot of the things he told me were lies. I've since leaving worked with bigger guests and brands and have a 2026 plan that is only even bigger than what I've accomplished so far. Yeah, and that's probably gonna check out because you don't have somebody who is attached to DraftKings pushing for the brands and the sponsorships. Of course, they would do the people that fit best with their program on your platform first. That's just how that goes. Now, naturally, Banks did not like this. He would send his retaliation, more so targeting that retaliation to the fact that, yo, this guy is a liar. The things that he said was not true. He's deceiving everyone. And in fact, he hates his friends. Like, he turned his back on his friends. He fucked them over, etc., etc. And he gave the ultimate, and I do mean ultimate, cardinal sin and placed that onto Plaqueboy Max, saying that he botted views. But the reason why a lot of this stuff isn't hitting as hard as Faze Banks thinks it should be is because of a couple things. One, he has a terrible track record in history as a content creator, as a business person. Like, community-wide, people do not fuck with Faze Banks. You know, there's some diehards that are still phasing it up out there, but ultimately, there are people who have talked about the crypto schemes. There are people that talked about the allegations about him and the young girls. There are people who are starting to peel back the layers on the onion that is Faze Banks, and boy, it is starting to stink up. And number two, if you're about to expose the fact that Max had bots, you're gonna have to expose the fact that a lot of these guys, specifically all the Faze guys, had bots because they would get those bots from their management company. And guess who their management company is? You, dummy!
You had the bots, bitch! That's what you do! You're a background character talking like you fucking Beyonce. Nigga, you the fuck, yo, bro.
Get him, Bruce. Fuck his ass up.
Yo, this is Destiny Child. Get your ass in the back. Nigga, all the black men and all the one Jewish man and the one fat nigga and the one Asian nigga made you.
The reason why Banks isn't going into a lot of details and trying to do these personal attacks on Plaqueboy Max is because every time he speaks, he pokes holes in an argument that'll be favorable for him. He's the problem. Like, let's not get that twisted. Let's not get that misconstrued. Like,
you literally are the big guy man upstairs. You're the CEO. You're the runner of this shit. You've been the face of Faze since Faze has been a thing. So anything that is fucked up with Faze is going to come back on you. In this situation, the culmination, the whole topic of it is that Faze is fucking over its members. You're the leader of it. That's why it's your problem. That's why you got to figure it out. That's why everybody's looking at you. It's not because they want to bring the white man down. They want to see another white man fail. Oh, they just bring it up the fact that I called these group of people the hard R because they want to see me fail now. No. Beyond that, it's because you're the leader. Why did you fuck it up twice?
He is actively the problem in all these situations. And I'm so glad that people are starting to wake up to the fact that he came and he bullied me too. Max, I'm on your side. He bullied me too, gang. He bullied me too, but I'm glad we can sit on the same side together and really acknowledge that he's the problem. Max clapped back with a closing argument about him not being a liar and how this narrative isn't sticking like Banks thought it would, because to be quite honest with you, it kind of isn't. Now, granted, a business had to be done, but you didn't do it genuinely, like you said you did. And now you're attacking Max while simultaneously sending messages to his aunt about how he's one of the best kids out there. I don't know. By the time this video gets out, the other guys will have had spoken.
But Max is fake.
About what's going on. They're supposed to be doing a live stream very soon together, collectively, maybe separately, but like collectively at the same time. And I'm curious as to what they say when they finally speak out. I think that they'll address a lot of these issues. I think that some of these things they'll avoid because legally they can't. But what I will say is, again, my live stream is open for you guys. I am willing to sit down and have those conversations because I need to know why Faze Banks lied to me.
Yeah, man, it truly is a shame to see what has become of Faze. It truly does suck. I really do wish that it wasn't this way, but I can wish all I want. This is the reality. So, Jesus Christ. All that being said, thanks for watching. Don't use slurs. It's easy. And have a better day than me.